Welcome to Africo Tales, the city of Lagos, a sprawling tapestry of dreams and concrete, often whispers of fortunes and futures. But sometimes its vibrant hum hides a darker song, a lament for innocence shattered, for trust betrayed, and for a soul offered on the altar of ruthless ambition. This is the tale of Osinachi, a woman whose wedding night, meant to be a sacred embrace, became instead a harrowing descent into a nightmare orchestrated by the very man who vowed to cherish her. Her story is a searing indictment, a defiant cry against the shadows that lurk beneath the gleaming facade of power and privilege, a testament to the resilient spirit that can rise, indignant, from the ashes of betrayal. In the pulsating heart of Lagos, where the hustle was a constant rhythm and skyscrapers pierced a sky often thick with the promise of wealth, lived Osinachi, not in the gleaming towers of Ikoyi, but in the crowded, pulsating arteries of a lower-class district, where every sunrise was a battle and every sunset a prayer for a better tomorrow. Her spirit, however, was as luminous as the dawn breaking over the lagoon, a sharp contrast to the gray concrete that defined her world. Osinachi's father, a man once strong but now broken by the city's merciless tides, watched his daughter hawk goods, her bright eyes fixed on a horizon beyond their reach. Her mother, a pillar of unyielding strength, cleaned homes in opulent mansions, a silent testament to the chasm between their reality and the lives Osinachi secretly yearned for. Osinachi wasn't just dreaming of luxury. She craved love, respect, a life of dignity that the city so stingily withheld from many. She saw couples hand in hand, their laughter echoing through busy markets, and a deep longing ignited within her. She was intelligent, ambitious, and possessed a quiet determination that belied her humble origins. In a city where dreams often died under the weight of harsh realities, Osinachi held on to hers with the tenacity of a baobab root clinging to parched earth. She knew, with a certainty that hummed in her veins, that her destiny was not to be defined by the grime of her birthplace, but by the boundless sky above it. Then, like a sleek predator emerging from the concrete jungle, Emeka arrived. His luxury SUV glided through the bustling street, a stark contrast to the rickety buses and battered taxis that usually dominated. He saw Osinachi amidst the cacophony, her beauty an unexpected bloom in the urban sprawl, and a new ambition sparked within his calculating heart. Emeka was everything Osinachi had ever imagined. Young, impeccably dressed in custom-tailored suits, and radiating an aura of rising political power. His words were honeyed promises, his gaze intoxicating, making her feel like the sole star in his glittering firmament. He was, to her innocent heart, the answer to her fervent prayers, the escape from the grinding poverty that had shadowed her life. Their courtship was a carefully orchestrated dance of stolen moments and hushed rendezvous, shrouded in a secrecy Emeka explained away as necessary for his burgeoning political career. He spoke of powerful enemies, of whispered slanders, painting himself as a victim of circumstance, and Osinachi, naive and swept off her feet, found the clandestine nature thrilling, believing it made their love uniquely precious. The discovery of her untouched innocence delighted him, a rare jewel to be displayed. When he finally proposed, under the shimmering city lights of a high-rise restaurant, Osinachi wept tears of pure joy, believing her fairy tale had finally unfurled. Little did she know, this Prince Charming was merely a serpent in disguise, his charm a potent venom poised to strike. The wedding day dawned bright, a vibrant tapestry of Lagosian festivity. Osinachi, breathtaking in a simple white gown that had cost Emeka a fortune, felt like she was floating, a dream woven from threads of hope and love. She stood before the altar, the weight of her father's sacrifices and her mother's tireless efforts finally culminating in this moment of triumph. She was marrying the man who promised her comfort, respect, and boundless possibilities, a future far removed from the slums. The reception pulsed with the city's energy, laughter, and music, filling the air, a celebration of what she believed was true love. But as the night deepened, a sinister shadow began to creep over her nascent joy. In the opulent hotel suite, meant for their honeymoon, Emeka offered her a celebratory drink, his eyes gleaming with an unsettling intensity. The liquid was sweet, cloying, and soon a heavy shroud descended upon Osinachi's consciousness. Her world dissolved into a hazy oblivion, her body rendered limp and vulnerable. The man who had vowed to protect her, to honor her, then committed the unspeakable. In a monstrous act of political servitude, he lifted her unconscious form and carried her, not to their shared marital bed, but to the suite of Chief Namdi, his powerful and ruthless political mentor. Osinachi's dreams of marital bliss dissolved into a horrifying reality, traded for Emeka's insatiable hunger for power, her purity, a gruesome sacrifice on the altar of his ambition. A low throb pulsed behind Osinachi's eyes as she slowly surfaced, from the depths of a drugged sleep. Disorientation coiled around her, a cold serpent of unease. This was not the familiar scent of their bridal suite, nor the soothing hue of their newlywed decor. The room was grand, perhaps even more opulent than theirs, but terrifyingly unfamiliar. "Emeka, where are you?" Her voice was a fragile whisper, lost in the plush silence. Panic began to claw at her throat as she searched for clues, her mind a murky swamp struggling to recall the events of the previous night. Her wedding night, a day that should have been etched in joy, was now a gaping void. As she stumbled towards a side table, her gaze landed on a leather wallet, resting beside a hotel key card. A chilling curiosity compelled her to open it. Inside, an ID card bore the stern, familiar face of Chief Namdi, Emeka's powerful boss, the kingmaker whose influence towered over Lagos politics. "What is this doing here?" The words escaped her lips, laced with a tremor of dawning dread. Hazy, fragmented images flickered through her mind. A looming shadow, a suffocating weight, a violating touch. Was it a dream? A nightmare? Her hands flew to herself, and with a guttural gasp of horror, Osinachi realized the horrifying truth. Her innocence, her cherished virginity, was gone. The world tilted on its axis, her heart a drum of pure agony. A sharp rap on the door jolted Osinachi, shattering her fragmented thoughts. It was Emeka, his face a mask of impatience, devoid of the tenderness of a newlywed husband. "Are you ready to go?" he demanded, stepping into the room without invitation, his eyes deliberately avoiding hers. "Emeka, what is going on? Why am I here? What happened last night?" Her voice trembled, a fragile plea for truth. But Emeka's response was cold, brusque, a slap to her reeling senses. "Just get dressed and meet me in the car. I'll be waiting." With that, he turned, leaving her stranded in a room that now felt like a cage, haunted by an unspeakable violation. The drive home through the city's waking bustle was a silent torment. Emeka, shrouded in a cloak of heavy guilt, refused to meet. Her gaze, the weight of his monstrous act pressing down on him. Osinachi, beside him, was a statue of despair, her mind desperately sifting through the wreckage of her memories. The wallet and ID card, now hidden, were burning accusations in her pocket, solid evidence against the man she had loved. Back in their lavish home, Emeka ushered her into her room without a word, then retreated to his own, locking the door. The veneer of the confident politician cracked as he wept, racked with a fleeting regret, yet his ambition, like a venomous snake, quickly suffocated any nascent humanity, whispering, "She must never know." The weeks that followed transformed Osinachi's opulent home into a gilded cage, each day a new layer of psychological torture. Emeka, consumed by his guilt, projected his loathing onto Osinachi, his former love now twisted into a bitter resentment. Her mere presence seemed to ignite his fury. A dropped spoon, a soft cough, anything would trigger a volley of cruel words, a barrage of accusations. He treated her as if she had betrayed him, blaming her for a crime he himself had orchestrated. The warmth that had once existed between them withered and died, replaced by a chilling distance. Affection was met with repulsion. Her attempts at intimacy met with a recoiling disgust. He paraded his disdain openly, making her feel like an unwelcome intruder in her own home, a prisoner shackled by a perverse unspoken pact. "The city's whispers can shatter even the strongest walls," her mother used to say. But Osinachi realized the whispers were now coming from within her own walls, from the man who was supposed to be her protector. She cried herself to sleep most nights, the pillow damp with tears, her dreams haunted by the hazy memory of that wedding night and the chilling certainty that Emeka was involved. The fairy tale had become a nightmare, and she was trapped, desperate for a way out, yet bound by the invisible chains of fear and betrayal. Just as Osinachi felt she couldn't sink deeper into the abyss, Emeka's younger sister, Enma, arrived. Fresh from university, stylish and sharp-tongued, Enma was poised to soak up the luxurious city life before pursuing a master's degree abroad. Initially, Osinachi hoped for an ally, a kindred spirit in the vast, isolating mansion. But Enma quickly became another instrument of Osinachi's torment, her cruelty sharpened by Emeka's insidious lies. One night, Enma overheard Emeka on the phone, fabricating a tale of Osinachi's infidelity on their wedding night to a therapist, framing himself as the heartbroken victim. A river may forget its source, but the truth always finds its way to the sea. Osinachi's father had once advised, but Emeka was twisting the river's flow. Enma, fueled by misplaced loyalty and a thirst for dramatic retribution, burst into Emeka's room, her eyes blazing with indignation. Emeka, seeing an opportunity, feigned heartbreak, solidifying his false narrative. He convinced Enma that Osinachi was a treacherous cheat, a blot on their family name, yet a necessary evil for his political image. "Make her pay, brother," Enma hissed, a venomous glint in her eyes. "Make her life a living hell." From that day, Enma became Osinachi's relentless tormentor, a shadow of cruelty draped in designer clothes. She delighted in inventing chores, spilling liquids, and throwing her dirty laundry at Osinachi, a constant barrage of humiliation, all based on a lie so monstrous it threatened to consume Osinachi whole. Meanwhile, Chief Namdi, the architect of political destinies and the unwitting recipient of Emeka's grotesque offering, found himself wrestling with an unfamiliar demon: guilt. The image of Osinachi, so vulnerable and innocent on that fateful night, haunted his powerful mind, an unwelcome intrusion into his calculated world of power plays and backroom deals. He was a man accustomed to wielding influence, not to grappling with the unsettling stirrings of conscience. The true cost of power is often paid in hidden coin, an old proverb whispered in his memory, and he realized the coin for Emeka's rise was Osinachi's shattered spirit. What began as remorse, slowly, transmuted into something far more potent, far more dangerous, a burgeoning love. Her beauty, her palpable innocence, had ignited a spark that he, a seasoned manipulator, could not extinguish. He had witnessed Emeka's ruthlessness, seen the cold ambition that drove him, and now he saw Osinachi, a delicate flower crushed beneath the boot of that ambition. He recognized the profound injustice of her suffering, the depth of her betrayal. He knew, with a certainty that unnerved him, that he had to see her again, not as a pawn in a political game, but as the woman who had unknowingly awakened a forgotten humanity within him. He, the formidable kingmaker, found himself plotting, not for power, but for a chance at redemption, for a way to save the woman who now unexpectedly held his heart captive. Months later, at a lavish political fundraiser on Banana Island, the glittering nexus of Lagosian elite, fate orchestrated. A tense reunion. Osinachi, forced to attend by Emeka, moved like a ghost amidst the well-heeled guests, her vibrant spirit dulled by relentless abuse. The sparkle in her eyes, once a beacon of hope, had been extinguished, replaced by a quiet, harrowing despair. Chief Namdi, observing her from across the opulent hall, felt a fresh surge of indignation. His love for her, far from diminishing, had only intensified, fueled by her visible suffering. He watched as Enma, emboldened by the crowd and her brother's insidious lies, stalked towards Osinachi like a predator. Well, well, if it isn't my brother's little toy, showing her face in public, Enma sneered, her voice dripping with venom, loud enough for nearby ears. Tell me, how does it feel to be passed around for political favors? After all, you slept with your husband's boss on your wedding night, didn't you? Osinachi flinched, tears stinging her eyes, unable to utter a defense. But Chief Namdi, his face hardening like granite, could not bear it. He strode across the polished floor, placing himself squarely between Osinachi and her tormentor. Enough! His voice, though low, carried the weight of authority. I will not stand by and watch you speak to this woman in such a disgusting manner. Enma, momentarily stunned, backed down, recognizing the unyielding power in Chief Namdi's gaze. On sewer, a quiet balcony overlooking the shimmering Lagos lagoon, bathed in the soft glow of city lights, Chief Namdi finally offered Osinachi the full, devastating truth. Her mind, still reeling from Enma's public attack and Chief Namdi's unexpected defense, struggled to comprehend. Your husband, Emeka, he used you. He sold your virginity to me in exchange for political power. He drugged you and brought you to my room that night, Chief Namdi confessed, his voice heavy with remorse. Osinachi felt the ground fall away beneath her, the hazy fragments of her memories coalescing into a horrifying, undeniable reality. The man she loved, the man she married, had traded her innocence like a commodity. Tears streamed down her face, hot and stinging, as Chief Namdi pleaded for understanding, revealing his own regret, his ignorance of Emeka's wicked plot. I would never knowingly take advantage of any woman, he vowed, his eyes filled with a raw honesty she had never seen in Emeka. Despite the deep-seated betrayal, Osinachi found herself inexplicably drawn to his sincerity. His kindness, in stark contrast to the relentless cruelty she had endured, felt like a balm to her wounded soul. I don't expect your trust, Osinachi, he said, gently taking her hand, but let me protect you. Let me help you." In his gaze, amidst the glittering city, Osinachi saw a flicker of hope, a promise of safety in a world that had become a relentless torment. In the clandestine shadows of Lagos's political underbelly, Emeka's ruthless ambition had woven a tangled web, but every thread eventually pulls taut. Opposition parties, ever watchful, had sent spies to the fundraiser, capturing Enma's vicious verbal assault on Osinachi, and more crucially, Chief Namdi's protective intervention. These damning recordings, coupled with an intense private investigation into Emeka's supposedly pristine marriage, unearthed the horrifying truth. Security footage of Emeka carrying Osinachi's unconscious form into Chief Namdi's room on their wedding night. The city, usually so quick to bury scandals, was about to have its conscience shocked awake. The headlines screamed across Lagos's newspapers, bolder than any political slogan. "Rising political star Emeka, sold wife to powerful ally on wedding night." The expose detailed Osinachi's drugged state, the photographic evidence of Emeka's monstrous act, and the subsequent months of her suffering. Emeka, cornered, staged a tearful press conference, playing the victim, accusing Osinachi of betraying him with his closest friend. A desperate attempt to salvage his ruined career. But the city had seen enough. The illusion of the golden boy of politics shattered, replaced by the chilling image of a man who would sacrifice anything, even the sacred bond of marriage, for power. The whispers turned to roars of indignation, and Emeka's carefully constructed world began to crumble. The scandal ripped through Lagos, leaving Emeka's political career in tatters. The public, initially shocked, quickly turned indignant, seeing Emeka not as a leader, but as a vile betrayer who had defiled sacred vows. His supposed heartbreak rang hollow against the brutal evidence, and his party swiftly distanced themselves, wary of the stench of such a betrayal. Enma, implicated in the abuse, found her social standing plummeting, her dreams of studying abroad evaporating amidst the widespread condemnation. Osinachi, no longer bound by fear, found her voice. She refused to divorce Emeka, not out of love, but as a strategic move to ensure his public downfall and prevent him from using her to feign marital stability. Chief Namdi, having confessed his deep remorse and offered Osinachi genuine support throughout the ordeal, publicly renounced Emeka and stepped away from his kingmaker role, choosing to advocate for women's rights and ethical governance. While he still loved Osinachi, he understood that her healing came first. Osinachi, embodying the resilient spirit of her ancestors, chose to reclaim her future. She sought counseling, slowly shedding the layers of trauma and betrayal. She found solace in communal work, establishing an NGO for women experiencing domestic abuse, her own painful experience transforming into a beacon of hope for others. Though the scars remained, Osinachi emerged, a phoenix rising from the ashes of betrayal, forging a new path rooted in honesty, dignity, and the enduring wisdom of a communal spirit that champions justice and healing over ruthless ambition. She found her own voice, and in doing so, taught the city that true power lies not in dominance, but in integrity and the courage to stand for what is right. If you enjoyed the story, then like, subscribe, and share this story with your loved ones. Also, tell us in the comments where you are watching from.